Welcome back to Success on Your Terms, and we're jumping straight in today with my amazing guest who's joining, Vicky Harrison. Vicky and I are talking all around branding and messaging, which you may be thinking is similar, and it's not. We're going to talk you through the differences and how you really need to lean into each of these areas in order for people to stand out, cut through the noise, and make more money in your business. This is a great episode. Enjoy. Vicky, welcome to the podcast. I'm very excited for this conversation to have you on. We've got no structure. We're just going to go with the flow because that's how we roll. And we always have great conversations. And I love hearing about how well you're doing. So I'm going to kick off by asking you to introduce yourself and what you do.
Hi, fabulous to be here. Good to see you, Nat. I'm Vicky Harrison. I'm a personal branding strategist, and I'm all about fusing lots of various tools and strategies so you not only identify and elevate your personal brand, but also embody it for your next level success.
Love it. Interesting. I got a bit on ChatGPT. It's there. I'm treating it like my PA at the minute, but it's
Okay.
it threw out the word elevate the other day, and I was like, how do I feel about that word? But
Yeah.
similar messaging. It is about, I guess, I'm not always a fan of like next level stuff and some of the jargon and language we hear, but it is about that, isn't it? Elevating, but also I think very similar. There's going to be a lot of crossover, I think, today with messaging and branding, as we already know. But again, that helping you stand out, be known for something, and be really different. And I think different matters right now in business.
So much. I mean, you've probably heard it from your clients as well. When you ask, like, what is your word of the year that you're going with, or you get asked that question. And I, I have had so many people tell me their word of the year is visibility, like so
Right.
many people. And I think it's because people really do understand now that, yeah, to attract their dream clients or, their next level, or like to really obtain what they're after, it requires more now than just kind of showing up. And we talk about it's not just good enough to be the best of what you do, you have to be known to be the best of what you do for sure this year.
Yeah, like visibility, building your audience, and it's kind of why I've got the challenge, or when this comes out, it'll be this week, around building audience. And I've realized even that's not been a strong enough hook, interestingly, and it's great. Like, I'm very curious in business. I'm like, why has it worked? Why has it not worked?
Yeah.
It's probably not got the hook enough. If I was even to do just 3 weeks of having something out in terms of ads and things, I was like, it should have probably been a bit more visibility, but that's a lesson. And that's why I'm probably going to do a visibility challenge in a mastermind in February, because I'm like, okay, this has become relevant now. And again, it's messaging what's relevant, what's resonating. But you're right. We all know we're very good at things. There are also many, many people much better than me at so many things I do. But it's about being known for that. And I've got the ability to get known for things. And that's the difference of people, is that you can have the best offer, be the nicest person in the world, all those things. But if people don't know about you, it doesn't matter, because it's just not going to sell, because it doesn't get their attention. And that's where, branding's a really interesting one for me, because it's very topical at the minute.
Yeah.
It is last year, the same as like you said, visibility's word this year, but it also gets a hard time. Some people are very black and white on branding. I can go to places and people will be like, what is personal branding anyway? But
Yeah.
I do believe there's a place for it. You can't have people like Gary Vee, Alex Hormozy, in particular, people I follow for branding, talk so much about it, and then for us to just diffuse it saying, well, what even is it? Because there is so much to it. And what I want to unpack from this review right now is to talk a little bit about your framework, because you came into my membership last year, and it was kind of like I guess like a drafty style of it, wasn't it, for seeing what
Yeah.
it was like.
Yeah.
But it got attention as well. It's very good. And you did some incredible sales off the back of this with Black Friday as well. So in particular, I want to know about identity, because that's more something that's very, again, in my head, so it gets my attention. But talk to us about the framework and break it down for us in, let's really unpack personal branding.
Yeah, so you probably realized as you were talking there, my mouth became more and more like a Cheshire cat because you stumbled across something that is really excites me at the moment, which is so let's talk about the framework. Well, let's talk about, yeah, what personal branding actually is and perhaps the misconceptions that are out there about personal branding. So I get a lot of people message me about their websites, for example, or their graphic design or their copy or their photos. And, whilst all of those things are part of the branding puzzle, when we talk about personal branding, it's almost the step before that. So it's really understanding how you want to be known, what you want people to say about you when you are not in the room. And that's why, when I came into the membership, it was about how do we create something that really there's an educational piece there so people not only understand what we talk about when we mean personal branding, how we quantify the impact of that, right? We're all strategists, so we run a business. We want to know if I'm going to invest this money, what is the return? Why do I need that? But also, what makes it so important before you spend money on all of these other really important pieces of the branding puzzle?
Sure.
So, yeah, when it comes to the framework, I do things a bit differently to a lot of other personal branding people out there, as you know. Um, this isn't just about visibility. This isn't just about marketing and aligning yourself for opportunities, media, podcast guestings or partnerships and clients. It's about really understanding who you are and the legacy you are building with your brand. So the four pillars I work through my clients with is identity, really understanding who you are and that legacy piece we talked about, messaging, making sure you're really clear about what you're putting out there, your touch points at every opportunity. What is it saying about you, the impact you're having, the legacy you're building? Your presence. I do a lot of work with clients around NLP and really understanding the behaviors and the presence they need to embody that personal brand.
Yeah.
And then visibility, because let's be honest, if we're building a brand, we want it to be seen and noticed by people for the impact. So
Yeah.
it's a different take to a lot of people out there on personal branding.
Yeah, I really like the identity piece. And again, I said this is getting my attention because one, it's something I'm working on with one of my mentors, who's a man actually, and a very different outlook in terms of business and life, very visual, about destiny, dreaming big. So it's very different when I'm quite logical and strategic and just like to be know what I need to do and do it. Hence, I'm working with somebody that challenges me in a different way to see the world because I like to think differently and be around those people. So doing a lot of work on identity, but there's a lot of what I talk with messaging is around people talk around even like what you do as a message, like a bit more about you, like stuff that would piss people off, which is what Stephen Bartlett told me to do with my messaging, but like stand for something, what you really care about, your values, what you believe in. And then the funny stuff, like, like loads of my clients know I love candles and gin, and that's why I've got beautiful gifts at Christmas, loads of those, which is I adored and make my Christmas. But it's the kind of the what you do into the what we may say secondary and about the stuff you care about is like your story in that. There's like I call it like a story arc as well. And I'm leaning more into that this year for messaging of people is how do you get your story out there because it connects us. And
Mm,
identity was a huge thing for me leaving the corporate world, coming to running my own business. I'd lost a lot of that sense of identity, who was Natalie, and confidence with that. And that impacts brand. It impacts how we, again we stand out, how we're known, what people say about us
yeah.
stuff that is like almost, I think like we're very strong coaching backgrounds. You've got the added bonus of NLP, the stuff that's not being said, how someone feels. I know a lot of interesting, I think we spoke about it at Christmas, but a lot of my clients at Christmas shared about just said thank you for the fact that what I help them is believe in themselves. And I said, well, I don't know what I do. What do I do? Help me out because I need to know this. But that you just that a way you can make somebody feel as a shift as well is so important. And that's going to be something I do around branding. So the identity one is massive to me. And also then I think, like you say, them taking that into visibility.
Yeah, it's amazing how many of us lose our identity in our jobs, and
Yeah,
for sure. But then also when we become business owners, it's so easy to become your business brand.
it is.
And and then when you start thinking about either, okay, maybe my brand doesn't represent actually where I'm at now, my experience, my expertise, you start thinking, well, who am I now? What do I stand for now? And finding a way of of reconnecting with that identity and the bigger picture as well, without diluting that business brand, can often feel like you're kind of torn in two directions.
Yeah.
I think a really easy way to just strip out the confusion and noise and really connect with ourselves again is something I went through with you on the masterclass and people in the mastermind, which is really identifying your story thread. You know, we look at our values in business, we look about what our clients say about us, all incredibly important things we need to know as business owners. But I'd encourage you to go back and look at, 4 or 5 really key moments in your life and think, how did I navigate that? What was my driving force? How did I show up? What were the values, characteristics, trends that come up from that story thread? Because those are integral to you and your identity. And they really often link into the bigger impact you're trying to achieve through your business
Well,
or beyond your business when you look for those other opportunities, like I said, media opportunities, podcasts, things like that. It helps you differentiate actually you and then how you fit with your business brand, which is not the same thing.
yeah, and I think even I was just thinking then that lots of people confuse, I think, this whole, oh, is it messaging? Because lots of people don't know their problem of their business, the real problem. That's the reality. And what they think is a problem isn't. And again, I think leaning for me last year into messaging was a lot of people saying no or don't need that. And I'd think, okay, that's fine. And then people thinking they're the same or messaging the same as branding. And it's very, very different as well. And that's where I know we've got so much potential together as well,
Yeah,
helping people, but also just being really clear with people what stuff is and isn't and a difference between that. Whereas interesting to see your point of view. I see the branding of, like you say, a bit around what people say behind closed doors as well,
hmm,
uh, around your branding. But the messaging is really getting clear on the messages you communicate, which it can link then similar to what people say about your business
yeah,
through messages. But it has to be, like I said, they have to be really clear cut on, you have to have the clarity of what you help people on. And that's where a lot of people get confused and then
yeah,
they can't get their branding right because they haven't done the steps of knowing confidently when they go to an event, say, this is what I do and who I help. But they'll go on and on about themselves or say, I'm a confidence coach. And it's like, well, what does that mean?
yeah,
They don't get somebody thinking, yes, I need that. When I go to networking events now, I'll say my spiel and people are like, I need to talk to you about that.
yeah,
And I see people do it with you. So it's that clarity with the messaging. And then it's getting the same thing over and over. And it's again me sticking to messaging, which is what I said to you is just stick with one thing. Get really
yeah,
great at that and master your craft and do it well. And those people again, they can't give that patience and certainty, like they want that certainty too much. And it's
yeah.
the thing apart from really growing something and branding and messaging, they both take time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's an ongoing thing. I think a common misconception, particularly around branding and personal branding, is that it's a tick box exercise.
Yeah.
So like, oh, I need to sort out my personal branding. Great. Let me go. Tick, that's done. Now on to the next thing. Whereas, if we're talking about personal branding as in like positioning, thought leadership, people talking about you in the way you want before you even entered the room or met them for the first time, that is
Oh,
an ongoing process because every decision that you make, every opportunity that comes on your desk, a yes or a no could be the driving force in your brand and what people are saying about you and that ripple effect you have. So it's about ongoing work to keep yourself aligned, making sure you're going to end up in the direction and the destination you want to and the impact you want to have, rather than just ticking it off like messaging. Great, I've done my messaging. Tick.
you bang on, it's the same. And I've had clients even this week, it's like, oh, well, it's changing again. It's like, no, it's not changing. It's evolving. And we're taking it step by step of what's working, what's not, based on the data that we've got, because you've gone and done some research on your ideal client. The biggest thing I see of messaging is people don't know their ideal client well enough either. But you like for me, one of my messages is that I'm no BS and compassionate. One of my
Mm,
clients said, like, that's how I'd say. She goes, and the reason why you do well now is because you make people do the work and get it done. And that's what we all need help with. Loads of people now have done years and years of program after program and learning. They don't need to do more of that. The same
mm,
as I'll always say to people, like, don't worry about this whole I'm giving too much for free. That's not their problem. because they could go on ChatGPT without being rude in some ways. We're not special in that way. Like we know stuff that plenty of people can find at their fingertips nowadays online. Their
Mm,
problem is getting it done, staying consistent and doing the work. And therefore that no BS, compassionate, but I get the work done has become my brand because
yeah.
it's what people know me for. And they'll say it behind closed doors. Like, and I hear people say I've referred you, but then I heard that they said, "Oh, you might be a bit too intense for them." So I told them to put a mirror up to their face because that's what they need. They said they
Yeah.
need you. And again, I'll say that spiel of you don't want me, but you need me.
But isn't it great that you've done the work on that? Because what I
Yeah.
find so fascinating is, I mean, ideal client is a great one, right? Because I saw a post the other day that had a picture of King Charles and Ozzy Osbourne and had the same ideal client above because on paper they're the same ideal client, but obviously vastly different. But we spend so much time drilling into our ideal client. What are they? What are they thinking? You know, how can I connect to that? How much time do we actually do that with ourselves and think, what is the relevant info to my ideal clients of me?
Right.
What can I use as that connection piece? People aren't craving what they used to. It's not your systems. People don't want to step into a challenge necessarily or a lead magnet or, you know, it's not doing what it used to do. Your audience is discerning. They've done a lot of challenges.
Right.
They're looking for connection, right?
Yeah, clarity, connection, and then we convert. And when it's like giving them all of the visual tools as well, by beyond the like the lead magnet stuff. And I might use this on a live later because again, I've been doing lives every day since I don't know, 6th of
I've
January.
seen,
Uh,
yeah.
Randomly decided I was like, I'm gonna go live every day. But you just got to do it. And I did one at the weekend where I said the reason I've come on at the weekend is because loads of people like it off and I don't mind it to work. Also, you got to show up sometimes when people aren't just going to watch you or give you the likes and engagement. You have to do beyond that. You have to have a podcast that gets 10 listens for
Yeah.
months and months and months before suddenly you leverage. And you have to stay consistent when it feels like no one's watching. And that's the hard bit that people lose faith on.
Yeah, and do you know what's really cool about lives in particular? So I came across some stats recently, and it was about people understanding what type of posts get the most engagement, most traction. It was someone who works in media, and they said by far the videos that have a mistake or a slip up, or the things that have a spelling mistake or anything, get way more traction than the ones that are like take number 25, because people know that's take number 25. They know, they know if you've done a post where there is no mistakes, that is probably not your first time you've taken that. So people really warm to and connect again to that realness of recovery and being like, okay, I like what she did there, or I get
Yeah.
it.
There's someone I know who major LinkedIn following, personal branding as well. And their whole branding is I struggle with this, I F up with this. That's all their branding.
Yeah.
And when you put on one of my posts I did a few months back actually was I think I'm a really career driven woman, something like that, love my business. And I was like, I struggle with this. And it was a carousel. And it was like, I struggle staying focused. I struggle switching off. I struggle in the gym. I struggle when I look in the mirror because I still judge myself. Because there's a big thing, again, doing some research this week on with messaging that you can't be untouchable. You've got to be, that's why sometimes when we can, as much as we'll look at millionaires and
Hmm.
think, oh, I want to be where they are, if that's what you want, or I don't know, somebody earns 50 or 100K, whatever you want, they can seem so far away, you don't believe you can achieve that result. And there's a big gap with belief for people when it comes to sales in, can I achieve that? It's like an unconscious thing as well. So we've got to see that sometimes that's just too far, that people actually don't want that life. And I realized that last year I was out in Canada and I gave myself a really hard time after going to an evening social, an amazing experience. Like, and I'm talking about they were billionaires, like these are big
Yeah.
circles. Amazing opportunity, completely out of my comfort zone intentionally. And I didn't know anyone when I went across, except I think the person who was running it. And I came away really deflated. And I was like, why am I deflated? Like, this is an amazing event with amazing people. And it was because it was like, because it's so far from where I'm at. It's almost feels untouchable now. And that felt hard. And I had to really lean into being uncomfortable with, because I'm a believer that, for great things to happen and the path of growth is where things are uncomfortable at times. It can't
Yeah.
be easy all the time. And it just felt I was like, why am I feeling this way? And I realized I don't want the life they have. Like I'm almost, I
Yeah,
wasn't chasing it, but it was like it's they're miles beyond and I'm not there. So again, messaging branding, you don't have to be perfect with this. You don't have to have it all nailed straight away. You do have to be willing to commit to the process of
yeah,
going on that journey and saying I'm not there yet of it. Like I tell all the time to Mastermind, and it's not perfect, but
yeah,
I'm a little bit ahead of where most of you are, and I can help you. But actually, the help you need on isn't to go and learn more. I don't want you to just do that. You all know enough right now. I'm not working with someone at 21 years old
yeah,
for us to go, what have you got? Let's implement it to help people get results. And you have to deliver well. It's not saying the offers are just get an offer out there. The
yeah,
offers have to deliver on what you say you will. And I think there's a gap in the market for that right now that people are putting out crap, and I'll be
yeah.
frank, that's not getting people results. And I think people see through it and people feel burned and all of those things. And therefore we have to work on that. As an industry, actually, I think we need to do a lot more on that. But I think this is again echoes the point of give the time to the branding, but and the messaging, and give the time to the one thing, and enjoy the process.
It's such a, I mean, it's a treat, right? You're getting to actually reconnect with what's really important to you about yourself again. You're
Sure.
getting to choose, how do I want to be showing up? Now I've got a business, now I've got clients. Actually, let me pause and think, great, I've done a lot of graft building that up. How
Yeah.
do I actually want to show up and be me from this chapter on in my life, in the public domain, but also in your private life as well? Qualifications is a really interesting one because perhaps because my client base is predominantly women and we appear to be addicted to learning and qualifications. I'll just do another qualification under my belt. That also is something we mistake for our identity, like our business, and we hide behind that a lot. If I were to say to a lot of clients, well, what do you stand for? They'll list off all their qualifications.
Ah,
Now, if we're talking about connecting with our ideal clients, if credibility is really important to you as one of your values, it is for one of mine, for example. I'd like to see that in someone I'm working with, but that doesn't connect you with your audience. That says something about you, but it's about thinking about actually the bigger picture and what I am
sure.
aside from that.
And it's interesting. There's someone in my audience who's into fitness. Like I used to be. Like, I've done. I never did competing because it would have been the next level that I didn't want to do. I'm using that word next level now of two words. But
Yeah.
I got down to I was teeny tiny and I did photo shoots. Now there was a big sacrifice that came with that journey, and I wouldn't choose to do it again. And when I see her stuff, particularly at these later ages and where she's positioning to her ideal client, or what I can see as her ideal client, it's
Mm.
just again, it's untouchable. It's not relatable. It's
Yeah.
great and it's achievement she's got, but it doesn't relate to her audience. So the whole cliche of your ideal client can, yes, it's true to a degree because she loves the gym still and wants to go and doesn't have a family as much and all of those things, but that's not relatable to the people she's speaking to, and
Yeah.
therefore they won't resonate with what she's putting out. Because and that's why I've been very cautious the last year or so, some of the photo shoots I put out now or some of the old images, because one, it's not where I am right now, and two, yes, it can get attention, but is it the right attention, which is what our social media should be doing, is getting
Hmm.
attention and building trust and credibility, like you
Yeah.
say. But it's got to get the right stuff. And again, this is where you need to go back and think, because for me, I look at her brand and think, but that's not aligned because it's all about
Yeah.
her. And then branding becomes also about your client. The same as messaging isn't just about you, it's about relating and making that compelling
Yeah.
to attract people into your world. That's
And I
what it's
think you just hit the nail on that when you said that to yourself, then that's just not where you're at right now.
right.
You've evolved so much as a woman, as a business owner since that. And, and you deserve to be putting out at every touch point the thing that actually represents you.
The same with the branding, like we always say, messaging and branding, they all evolve and change. And
Yeah,
you're
for sure.
going, say you started 5 years ago and you were helping people to get from 2 to 5K, and now you're helping people who are six-figure business owners, it was completely different.
Yeah.
Very, very different. The same as even when I broke down and talk about my ascension model today of the one-to-one high ticket, which is like, 5 to 15K. I have my mastermind at 2.5K, and then I have membership of £50 a month. Like they're all slightly different though in the messaging because they're a slightly different ideal client for where they're at. So
Yeah,
and therefore the branding may be slightly different because I will naturally come across a bit more no BS for the mastermind to get results that are slightly different. And I'll be softer in my
yeah,
approach and style. And Natalie, I'll be a bit more fun. I don't know, but you know what I mean in the membership because it's not all about business. There's a level of community in there as well. So again,
yeah,
how I show up into all of those. A great business owner becomes a person who is very highly astute and aware of those things as well. Awareness is key in business.
yeah,
And you, again, like you learn more of this, but you're aware then of when your audience come in your funnel, where they go and what they want help with and what they need. And you serve them on that to get them there. And again, you can see how beyond us just doing branding and messaging, it unpacks to sales, marketing,
yeah,
client experience, all of that interlinks. It's like the fly effect, isn't it?
yeah.
It's so
You,
important.
s- you see, I know you said there, like, so for each of your kind of the levels of your offers, there's a slight shift, should we say, perhaps in the messaging or the tone, but the essence of you is still the same, right? The things you are known for, because I know your offers come through in every single one of them, and that's what's so important, that alignment piece across everything you do, so that
Yeah.
if I didn't see your name on or your picture on any of those things, I would still know who it is delivering that service or that offer. And I think we get really excited, perhaps when we're more in the 1 to 2 years of our business, coming up with offers. And actually it's that thread, that essence of us that runs through it all. And if we don't nail that this year, you're just going to be swallowed up by the competition, by
I
people who are
can't, like,
really
I cannot agree
recognizable.
more. I think if people right now just stop the whole need another offer, and just
Yeah,
focused on how could you make that offer better. If you took one thing from this podcast today, it's this. Just take the offer, one, three, whatever you got right now, the simpler the better, and
yeah,
just make that better. Make the delivery,
yeah,
make the experience, make it better and make it more aligned, make it more polished. Work on that, master your craft, opposed to just got to do another offer. Just got to just see
yeah.
what lands in that. Like you've got the stuff there. It's the patience and the focus on that. I just think if people gave all of their time to that, it would just help them so much more.
Yeah. And I think you're the one that said this to me, which is like creating new offers can be a form of procrastination.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, guilty. Okay, I need to stop producing more things.
It's like not another one. I'm like, what are you doing? No.
Yeah.
Like he said, do that. And I'm like, no. It's like I've just started working in a program as a lead coach, actually. Very focused on accountability as well.
Mm.
And I had somebody come on recently and share, who they've worked with over Christmas and stuff like that. I was like, amazing. I was like, how many people are you working with? And they're like, oh no, just you. Then we carried on. I was like, okay, cool. This is amazing. We're just in this program then. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so I was doing that ideal client work with this person. I was like, no. I was like, right, who are you working with? And it's not just one person, it's happened to a few people. People's inability to be laser focused and do less better and slow down to speed up for all my little cliches um
Mm.
are gonna really, as you said, they're gonna, I don't want to be rude, but you're gonna struggle this year because business it's not gonna give you the bandwidth and compassion to do that messing around anymore. You've got to be really clear. You've got to get the support. Like I said to somebody the other week, wasn't able to invest in my offers and stuff, but loves what I do and just basically just want to say, like, want to work with you in the future. I said, let's just jump on a call. It's 20 minutes. Let's just brainstorm. Let me share with you. I'm not going to sell. I just want to share 3 things that you can do right now to help you get close to that in 6 months.
Mm.
6 months is that. And I believe in just helping people, serving them. And if they'll come back if you give that good service. And again, it
Yeah.
differentiates me from someone who says, just download my don't
Yeah.
use it, whatever. But it's the ability to then just, I said to her that you've got to invest at some point. I said that that's a reality on this, that you're going to get to a point. And I said that that is just going to change the game for you, and it's going to be the right people and stuff, but it's going to come with that. And that's what served me well in the last few years is I have substantially invested like beyond 70K in 3 years, which I get. And now's the years to really start to, I've earned it. Like I'm not,
Mm.
I bring it back in. And that's why I did a podcast. Like I did 23 grand in my first 3 months. After the investment, I got it back straight away. But you have to do the work for that. And you have to be
Yeah.
clear and you have to be focused and on those things and invest in the right people. And you won't always get it right. But there's things, there's so many variables, there's so many cogs were turning all the time. I guess what I want to come on to for you is I've really seen a shift knowing you the last few years, and I've known you probably 3 years now, really.
Yeah, about then.
Your belief in yourself, but also the energy, which I talk about as like time, energy is currencies
Yeah.
beyond money. What's been a real struggle for you the last year or so, and what's been the biggest kind of changes? Because that's again where people struggle and how they overcome
Yeah.
it. And now people are driving into you, or sliding into those DMs. Uh,
Yeah.
hate that phrase.
Yeah.
We do
Uh,
love it though when people are like, I'm in. I was like, I love that text message. I'm in. No, no sales call, just I'm in. Where do I pay? Here's the link. Get on.
yeah, we all
You
love
laugh
it.
at me because
Loads.
I literally get your credit card number on a call and I get you onboarded straight away because I love sales. What's been the struggle and the change for you?
Do you know what? Like I said, I've known you for about 3 years now, and like in particular, the last year, there's been a lot of growth because there's been a lot of real talk, both with people and internally as well, the internal narrative. You know, I like you mentioned earlier, I'm an NLP practitioner, so neuro-linguistic programming. So like on paper, I should be really good at rewiring thought patterns, right? That's what I do. So that's what I do with clients, to help them get over those barriers and blocks. But there's something about it being in yourself and being an
Oh,
internal
yeah.
narrative that is laid up and laid over, laid over. That it takes a lot to try and break through that.
Mm,
So I think when we cut, it was two things. One, that's come back to the identity piece. I've become a mum of two in the last 4 years. I've shared with you my health journey. I gained 7 stone. I've lost almost four and a half of it in the last year. That in itself is an identity shift,
yeah.
from feeling like I was out of control to actually regaining control over myself and reminding myself who I am and what impact I want to have in the world allowed me to show up in the way I wanted to and actually start attracting the clients and opportunities that I knew I deserved, that I sheltered myself from because of that identity piece and just feeling lost really when that shift happened a few
Mm,
years ago. So I think there was a lot of growth around that. A lot of that came from self-work, focusing on my health and fitness, which I know we're both really passionate about. Surrounding myself with the right people is huge. I mean, I know we said earlier about the programs, but the other thing just to take away from today is the people you surround yourself is can make or break you for sure.
100%.
Surround yourself with people that make you believe anything is impossible, that you're unstoppable. So you really do dream with the things that are actually bubbling inside of you, that perhaps you might cut off that conversation. So I
Yeah.
think it was having a word with myself and focusing on health, but surrounding myself with the right people. And those things combined just, well, just have lit an absolute fire in me over the last year. And
Yeah. I think I remember the spark with you, I think was a bit of just like you're there. I was like, you're there. I was like, what's going on? I was like, was this downplaying stuff? Or, oh, they're there. And I was like, you've got all this. Like, just bloody get
yeah,
tell people. And I think it comes back a bit this year of giving people that permission. People want that from somebody. They
yeah,
want leadership direction, which I get from my corporate days, and people naturally behaviorally like that. But there is a bit just like, like just I called it deluded belief. I talked about it a little bit recently that you've got to have that belief that isn't fake it till you make it like Amy Cuddy does. And she's bang on. I love that TED talk. But it is about this part of like, I really want this to make it happen and I'm going to make success non-negotiable. If they can
mm,
do it, there's evidence they're doing it. Why can't I? Um, I love Hal Elrod. He writes a Miracle Morning book. I met him in Canada, and I did completely girl fan. Can you girl fan a guy? I was completely like, oh my God. I was
mm,
like, I loved your book. It's changed my life. I'm shit at it, but I love it. He laughed. He was such a genuinely grounded guy.
yeah.
Again, very different and stuff to what I do and that and what he shares and posts. But his story again connects us. He spoke a lot about storytelling at the event I went to, and he said that me standing here on stage is evidence you can do it. What makes me different?
Yeah.
Like just go for it.
I think, do you know what? I think that is why I bring the neuroscience and NLP in with the client work I do and personal branding, because again, perhaps because it's women I work with, or perhaps because of how we talk to ourselves sometimes and how we might keep ourselves small. A lot of people I work with say they want to change the world, right? In their industry, they are looking to make waves. But so often the thing that slows down that impact is us and
Yeah.
us either capping ourselves and our
Yeah.
potential
Of it.
or talking ourselves out of opportunities that are going to make that elevation, that impact possible. So when you're talking about branding and like getting yourself in the right rooms, being talked about in the right way, that's much more than just like a strategy on paper. You got to live and breathe and believe that to really show up as
And that,
that.
again, like that sense, people feel it. Like they know, and,
Yeah,
like, and I say this all the time. Like if you don't, I'm like, do you 100% back your offer? And if there's like that little bit of doubt, I need to know what that resistance is because you won't sell it. I've got no
yeah,
problems going visible and live all the time, talking like an idiot, because I believe in what I sell. And if it's not right for you, if you want to troll me, it's probably because you're not doing as well as you want to, so you have to pull me down. I want to
mm,
be people that want to win. I want to champion people. I want to make people feel better. That's why I've done, I'm qualified in personal profiling to help people focus on what they're great at. I've
yeah,
led years of leading people as leaders and focused on, you're not great at a lot of things. Tell me what you're great at. That's what I want to focus
yeah,
on, like all of us. And when you surround yourself with people that you strategically collaborate with, that you help and support, that you may
mm,
be doing similar things, but you think, well, okay, well, we're different. My mentor and me are very similar, but we're different. She's
yeah,
got a different tone to me, even though we're no BS, both of us.
yeah,
So it doesn't matter. You just keep serving people and helping people in that way. And there's a big thing about the energy of just loving what you do. Like that brings people towards
yeah,
you. People want to be around more like that. We're in a world where it's tough. Business is tough. It's a challenging time. It's not easy at all. We make it complicated, but it's not easy. And you have to be consistent. You have to show up when you don't want to show up. And you have to be vulnerable and share your struggles and ask for help. It is tough. And
yeah,
lots of people can't have the capabilities to build a business. They just don't.
yeah,
They don't have the resilience. And like you said, and we can talk all day about this alludes onto its mindset. A lot is so
yeah,
much about mindset. Um, and you've got to be willing to fail and see that as a learning, but I see not trying as a fail. So
yeah.
um yeah, look, it's been an incredible share around. We've just touched on the surface, to be fair.
I
On
know.
it's worth to spend a day with us and beyond.
We need a
How can
retreat.
we've got so many. I'm so excited to know you and to work with you and stuff this year. I'm like, we could do this, that, and then I have to
Yeah.
remember what I tell you, which is stop procrastinating with loads of offers.
Focus.
Yeah, focus, laser
Got a
focus.
lot going on anyway. So yeah.
But it's exciting and it's good. How
Yeah.
can people connect with you?
So I'm across all social medias at Empowered Beyond Strategy. My company is Empowered Beyond. You can come say hello on there. I'd love to connect with everyone on there, and I can share a link to my complimentary VIP audit if anyone wants to apply for that and get my eyes on their branding.
Thank you for listening to Success on Your Terms. If this has been of value to you, please make sure you subscribe, like, and share so we can reach more people. And today you can access the new messaging checklist. In this, I help you cut through the noise, reach more people, and of course, get those consistent sales, all by dialing in your messaging. It is really important that you stand out in your business. This is going to help you identify how you connect with your audience. It's going to help you look at where you get those consistent sales coming in. And it's going to really help you focus on being really clear when it comes to messaging. All you need to do to access this is go to nataliepotts.co.uk/checklist and you can access it straight away. I'll see you on the next episode.